Hi, this is Danya,
And I'm Shaheen.
and you're listening to or watching.
Reality Woo Woo.
It's not something to believe in.
It's something to talk about.
And on today's episode, Shaheen's already laughing at me. He said that my Scorpio moon is showing because
Yeah.
it truly is. We're going to be talking about Disney villains today.
Yeah. Her Scorpio moon is going to be leading this episode, and my Pisces moon is going to be sensitive and scared.
It's really afraid. Yeah, because it's interesting. So we're doing the astrology of the Disney villains. This is a complement to, I'm sure that if you've clicked on the Disney episodes, the Disney princess, Disney hero episode that we did. And so, yeah, we just wanted to counter them with villains, and we're going to reverse it. Well, Shaheen led me through the princesses and I had no previous knowledge and I just kind of reacted to them. I'm going to do the same with the villains, which makes sense for our duo.
I didn't think of it that way. Like, we should have realized that, like, me
that you're a
leading the other one.
princess and I'm a villain.
Yeah. Even Aries' energy is kind of princessy.
It is. I mean,
Despite
Aries
being
energy is
semi-masculine, but I mean, whatever.
I don't know. Honestly, okay, when you think of people who are like birthday month, it's Aries. Every Aries
Spring.
I know is that way.
Yeah, we're singing to the birds, the flowers.
Yeah, that's an Aries.
Flowers are singing
move.
back.
Yeah,
That might be
definitely.
Aquarius. That might be Alice in Wonderland. We should get into that in a different episode.
That is a different. Actually, that's a great one. But for this villains episode, I actually thought it was kind of interesting because for princesses, we discussed, we kind of looked at some of the classic sort of Disney princesses, and then we also looked at some of the more modern archetypes like Moana and the characters from Brave and Frozen, Tiana. Yeah, exactly. However, as I was doing the research for villains, it was a little interesting because if you kind of think about it, since the Pixar era and all of that, the villains have become a little more abstract. They're not as I don't know, centered on like drag queens like they were in the 90s or even like previous to that, where they were really flamboyant characters.
Yeah. If they weren't Middle Eastern, they were gay.
Exactly. Yeah. They were signaling
or just
to
a confident female, like a confident, empowered.
That's
like,
true.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of weird
witch.
archetypes. Yeah, a witch.
A witch, just a strong woman who's not going to take
Single
King
woman, I
Triton's
don't know.
shit.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Yeah. So there's that. And then, like I said, so there are really no modern villains. We were kind of, I'm like, in Up, who's the villain? Like, it's his wife's cancer, or like that's the villain, right? It's more abstract and kind of honestly a little more relatable. But
yeah, and like the Incredibles character was, I don't know what his name was, but he was just a sad kid who, spoiler alert, he was in like the past with one of the Incredibles. And I don't know, we understand more about the villains these days. They feel like we see their side of it.
Yeah, they're more humans, but to be fair, okay, and this is a bomb I dropped on Shaheen, but the old Disney movies are based on fairy tales, right? They're all based on old like German fairy tales, or Swedish, I guess, with the Little Mermaid, I think, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that like Nordic in some way?
I actually didn't tell you, yeah.
But
we're taking it to the Atlantic, and now it's like a Latinx kind of vibe. Little Mermaid, which I love.
That's but with the old ones, like Cinderella, Snow White, they are less relatable. There's a real villain because most of those are actually based on tales that people would tell their children when Europe was going through like massive famine. So people were eating children in the woods.
That was shocking. Danya was telling me this before the episode. I said, we have to start recording because I can't believe that stories that we watch and hear about in books or whatever are actually from a famine where people
were from a time. Yeah. Hansel and Gretel, these like
in the woods.
Little Red Riding Hood. They were trying to keep you, this folklore exists for a reason, right? And during those times when these stories emerged, people were eating kids.
Also interesting, I don't know what this breadcrumb trail means now, but breadcrumbs feels like famine related.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Going around the Posey moment, gonna come full circle.
And I mean, not, just to give a shout out to some expansion reading for the listeners, but I learned a lot about all of this in Women Who Run with Wolves, and that really looks at like folklore around the world, from like Russia to Mexico to kind of all over. And like the archetype of the witch is just, she's the only like empowered woman who's like not beholden to anyone else.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you can kind of just think about the times with all of that. But all right, let's get started.
Yeah, now that we're ready.
Yeah, now that I've
All this
sufficiently
talk about
freaked
eating
Shaheen
children,
out.
I'm ready.
Yeah. We're good to go. Okay. So we're going to start with Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty. So to paint a picture, right? Recently, Maleficent was played by Angelina Jolie. We see the prosthetic cheekbones. We see the horns. All of that kind of
horns too.
You know, she's very jealous, right? Of Sleeping Beauty is the mood there. So what sign do you think she is, Shaheen? Just like if you had to guess.
My first instinct, I have to guess 2 or 3 things. Can I just say them out loud? My first guess was Leo, because she's jealous of like Snow White, and she's like, I'm supposed to be the star.
Okay.
But then as you were saying things more, I was like, oh yeah, horns. Maybe she's like Aries or like Capricorn. But I don't I don't know. Like I don't get that from her necessarily.
Yeah.
She's not like
You're just leaning into the symbolism.
Reckless. Yeah. Like reckless would be Aries, but goal oriented would be Capricorn. So I kind of want to just lean with Leo.
She's pretty calculated, right? Because she comes up with like
Okay, yeah, no. You know what? I kind of keep mixing her up with Snow White's villain.
Yeah.
And so I guess she is more calculated. Maleficent becomes a dragon. She like transmutes. She could actually be Gemini.
And I mixed you up. It is from Sleeping Beauty. It is from Sleeping Beauty.
Did you say? Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was me. I apologize. Yeah.
Well, then in that case, okay, so she becomes a dragon. She could be like, I don't know, an Aquarius.
An
or
Aquarius.
Like a Gemini. I feel like she could be Aries.
Yeah.
She's transmutable.
Our assistant did this research, ChatGPT, and our assistant says that Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty is a Scorpio. Okay. She is intense, mysterious, and holds grudges for a long time. And
that sounds like a Taurus too. I relate.
You know what? And the horns.
Horns.
You didn't guess. So do we?
Okay.
And is her whole thing? It's all about ruling her kingdom and being in control, right? Like, isn't that so? It might be Taurus kingdom.
I like Taurus. Were you already gonna lean towards that, or did I surprise you?
No, you surprised me and you pulled me. Because I was like,
in one word.
Scorpio made sense to me because Maleficent is archetypically dark. The horn, it's like there's a lot purple, of devil symbolism going on. Yeah, and not, it's just that dark underworld stuff, that Pluto vibe that we associate.
Doesn't she like shoot lightning?
Yeah. Yeah. Did you see at Disneyland the float? Do you know about this?
Yeah. Oh, it got set on fire recently. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Which is
that's gonna be the thumbnail art now.
That's a Maleficent heavy parade experience at Disneyland. So that's kind of funny.
Interesting.
Okay, so
it is Taurus season 2. Okay, sold.
Okay, so she's a Taurus.
She's mad that everyone thought she was a Scorpio, so she's setting her dragon aflame in Taurus season.
That makes sense. Okay, we're good. We're good. Let's okay, so this next one is exciting because the new Little Mermaid comes out soon. So we're talking about Ursula, who honestly she's not a villain to me. No. Yeah, exactly. She's like my one true kind of she's a role model, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, despite stealing the voice of a 16-year-old and then trying to marry her love
and wearing it in a necklace, that's stylish.
Wearing her voice in a necklace, it is style.
So we're thinking about that, right? Stylish, like high drama.
Just in time for Fashion Week.
Okay. So what would be your guess then? Kind of thinking about Ursula's manipulative. She's definitely, but she's high fashion. She cares about aesthetics because even when she becomes like beautiful and young, she's gorgeous. Arguably prettier than Ariel in my opinion.
Yeah, another air signy kind of quality, but she is from the ocean. But I'm trying not to think about that because like humans are from Earth and not all of us are Earth signs. So
What
I
a
wanted to say
perfect
Cancer. I wanted to say Cancer because she's manipulative, but I don't think that Cancers like want to steal from other people as much. Like I want to say I wanted to say like Libra. That's weird though.
Right?
She's not
Because she's
that like
so
she's so
fab.
like fab and
Fab.
yeah.
Um,
And she's kind of doing this for justice, I think. You know, the story of Ursula was written on a side note about how King Triton was her brother or something and he stole the throne from her. Some story like that. I need to like understand. It's like a not from the original. It's like
so
from a
kind
side
of
story.
like Thor Ragnarok, right?
Yeah, a little
A
bit
little
of
bit,
that.
right? Like the
Yeah,
sister we
she's
didn't know about who got snubbed. Is that
yeah.
the story of Ursula?
Yeah, she's the queer
Learning
sister.
things. Okay.
Just like Thor's
Just like Thor. I mean, that's what I'm telling you. These are all the same story.
archetypes. Yeah.
These are all the same story.
I didn't land anywhere. I have no idea what to call Ursula.
Okay.
Except mother.
Well, our assistant says that our assistant went very literal. Ursula from The Little Mermaid is a Pisces. She is cunning, manipulative, and uses her emotional intelligence to get what she wants. She is dramatic and lets her emotions kind of take the helm for sure. But then she's also a witch and she can see the future, which we're always talking about with them.
Yeah.
And she's, creative, I think, in her...
She is very creative. She has a garden of souls.
Right? In the way that
tends
she
to.
approaches things. She's creative.
You know, if you had asked me what, like, what's her name? Vanessa?
Vanessa.
If you had asked me what her sign was, I might have said Pisces or Scorpio immediately. So I feel like that was distracted by the purple and Ursula's character.
Yeah.
But I vibe with that. Yeah, she is very like creative and fun. She laughs a lot. I feel like
she's fun.
Yeah.
She's based on a drag queen. So there's creativity there in the fold,
Yeah, she's wearing lipstick. She turns humans into lipstick.
Your whole background aesthetic right now is The Little Mermaid because you've got the red like her hair and then the purple like her bra.
Yeah, no, I actually chose red and purple. I was trying to be like
it was intentional and it shows.
Yeah.
It shows. Okay, let's move on from Ursula, who we've agreed is a Pisces.
Yeah.
Number 3 on our list is Jafar from Aladdin. So let's chit chat about Jafar for a second because Jafar is a spooky guy. He definitely, for me, was the most like sadistic of the villains. It felt like,
Yeah, he wanted to mess with people and put them in chains and
watch them
he
was
squirm.
locking people up in dungeons. He wanted people to be forgotten about. And then also God. Yeah.
He's Cersei. He's pre-Cersei.
He kept like throwing people into the tiger's mouth that just like think about Aladdin as like honestly I'm getting anxiety talking about it. It makes me think it's like Saw for children because that was the thing that always like really worried me about Saw was like people being locked in these spaces and like starving to death.
That is so Saw.
It's very Saw energy coming out of Aladdin.
He is Jigsaw.
He is the I'm sure Jigsaw, the prototype, was Jafar. They just had it on a mood board. They were like, this vibe, bring this vibe.
Yeah. Jafar is really in the background too. Like he starts as the royal vizier where he's just like advising.
Well, even think about how he disguises himself as like the beggar. That's very Jigsaw-y because Jigsaw also like disguises himself. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
I want to say Jafar is a Gemini, but I don't know. Back and forth.
Okay, why do you think a Gemini? Actually, let's explore that because I like that.
Yeah, I want to go into Gemini because he's very like mutable. He's a vizier, so he's like. But you know what? I wanted to say Gemini because I see him wanting to watch the world burn and being separate from it and being like, sure, whatever, everyone.
Yeah, back here.
But I also feel like maybe not now that I'm thinking about it because he's
very power hungry. I'm going to throw that onto
yeah, and
he wants to be in control
necessarily.
Yeah.
He is like power hungry for sure.
Okay.
And he's calculated as hell. Ooh, you know what? You might not like this, but he might be a Virgo.
I don't mind that, actually.
He's calculated. I don't know.
Yeah,
and he's like
a
thinking things through.
strategist.
He's like, I'm gonna get this. What do
Does
you
that
think?
sound like any other signs, you know?
Yeah, I mean Capricorn.
Yeah, so that's what I led you there, but that's
Okay.
that is where Chat
Shared
GPT
language. That's all astrology is.
and yeah, Jafar from Aladdin, Capricorn. He is ambitious, calculating, and willing to do whatever it takes to gain power. That's his
Okay, no.
motivation, right? Because we have
I
to
take back
feel-
everything I said before that, and I'm full on with Capricorn.
It's
yeah.
Capricorn, right?
Yeah.
Because that's why I was throwing power on the table.
I
Because we
didn't
have to remember
realize
their
what I was saying.
motivations.
Yeah.
You know, what is it that they want? He wants
He
to
was
be
in
the
it for the long
sultan.
game.
He wants to be a genie. He just wants to be like a master of the universe, you know, kind of situation. And that's Capricorn vibes. He's just an evil Capricorn. You know, Jeff Bezos is a Capricorn.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
we have real life villains, you know. Some people use it for good, some people use it for evil, you know.
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
Yeah, no, Jafar, and thinking too is that he's in it for the long game. He was like planning his career around this, and he spent probably a few years doing this.
There's
quietly.
some practicality here.
There was no evil for a few years, probably.
Yeah.
He was building trust.
And when he's like jigsawing in the desert, you know, having people disappear, that's like trial and error. He's doing research. He's trying to see who
He's the least
diamond in the
reckless
rough
villain.
is.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's on it. He's
he
like
has
a detective.
Resources in the dead of winter.
Sold.
Yeah.
Okay, so then next on our list, this one's fun. Only because this is probably the best Disney movie I think that's come out in a while. Cruella de Vil. I fucking loved the live action one.
I don't think I saw the live action yet.
Are you joking? Tonight.
Yeah.
You're doing
No,
it tonight.
Okay.
It's the costumes, the music. You know, it's set in 1960s London, so just they went off.
Seems hot.
They went off. It's
Couture,
good.
Hot couture.
It's beautiful to look at, that film, for sure. Very fun. So anyways, Cruella de Vil from 101 Dalmatians. When I talk about this person, what do you think? Very, very fashion forward.
Yeah. She seems manic.
Dramatic.
And also, well, I mean, she like her style is like not put together at all, but it is because it's themed. It's like black and white only.
It's a little
but if
wild,
you think about
right?
it, it's
Animal
like
prints.
reckless. It's like animal prints. I want to say Sagittarius instinctually because she's like loud. I don't know if she's loud though. I need to watch this.
She's
movie,
always like screaming and driving her
head,
like
yeah. She's like these
her
dogs.
car around. Yeah, she hates the dogs. Yeah. Okay, so I agree with ChatGPT, unfortunately.
What did they say?
So she's a Leo. She's dramatic, attention-seeking, and willing to harm innocent animals to achieve her goals. That's sadistic, and I don't agree with that, ChatGPT. We're gonna have a talk about that one. But the animal print and her style. She's always wearing the fur coat. Like, it is, and it is for her. It is about the fame. It is about the glory. It is about like the center of attention, and she gets very upset if anyone else is in that limelight. You know.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if she's very like loyal to anyone or anything except herself. Though she's very like self-motivated. I don't know many Leos. Well, I know Leos who are like that, but they still require love in their life.
You know, what did you say? You said Sag. I kind of like Sag actually as an alternative.
Wants to just ruin everything.
But also
like just for her, like for the experience. Not
you
for,
haven't
like,
seen
any
the
goal.
live action, which gives us backstory.
Yeah, needs
to be honest, she's pretty lucky.
Lucky.
Like there's a big. That's why I'm thinking that she I mean,
Jupiter
it's also very tragic. But shit starts to really kind of go her way and fall in line for her. So I actually really like Sag because it introduces the chaos element that you might get with like a Gemini. But it's also, Sagittarius tend to think they're right about stuff. You know what I mean? They like to
Sagittarius is very philosophical.
So they like to kind of assert their
thoughtful sign.
Their views. Yeah, And so, yeah, I
but don't
kind of
want to
feel-
land anywhere. They don't want to be like thoughtful in a calculated way. They want to be thoughtful in a who knows what kind
Yeah.
of way.
I
And they don't care how it ends.
I like Sag, honestly. I like Sag for Cruella de Vil. So we
I
can
gotta watch this movie now.
we can go for it. Yeah, yeah. You might change your perception after you watch it, but okay, and then we have Scar from The Lion King. Honestly, top tier villain.
Prepared. Yeah.
Top tier villain, Scar.
Yeah.
What do you think when I say that to you? What comes to mind? I do think Gemini with Scar for some reason.
Yeah, I do too.
He's a big talker.
Yeah, he's extremely
Loves a
well-versed in
soliloquy.
communication. Yeah, he is like a speaker for sure. He knows how
Yeah.
to like lure other creatures into being his
With his
pack.
vibe. Yeah.
And that's what he had to do because he wasn't the strongest.
Mm-hmm.
So, or straight. So he couldn't procreate.
He had an adopted family of hyenas. Yeah, that was his.
Yeah.
That was his vibe.
drag family, if you think about it. But I don't know his sign. I mean, like maybe Gemini, but I also feel like what were his motivations? He wanted to kill his brother for like no reason.
For a different path forward.
For a different
for
path.
for the community.
Mm.
He wanted
An Aquarius. He wanted to ruin the old ways of doing things, the tradition, and create a new path.
He did, yeah.
Is that what ChatGPT says?
That is what ChatGPT. That's where I'm leading you with that.
I love that. I hope Aquarians are proud of that.
He's rebellious, independent, and willing to go against the norm to achieve his desires. Like that's good.
He was creating a new path.
He was forging a new path. Yeah, he didn't like the
thinking about it as their motivation. I needed to do this from the beginning.
Come to the motivation as exactly. That's the question for you.
Makes me kind of like fucking Mufasa. Goodbye. I'm ready for the new game.
You've switched sides. You've
go
switched
Chiefs.
sides. Yeah, go Chiefs. Yep, we've switched.
Throwback.
Honestly,
Super Bowl.
Yeah. Scar is misunderstood. I'm honest about it. I think Scar was misunderstood.
Yeah.
Okay. Hades from Hercules. So
doesn't he rule a planet, and can't we like come
Pluto.
to that based on Pluto?
But that's ChatGPT doesn't know that.
Okay, good.
He rules the underworld. And he's Hercules' brother, uncle, Zeus's brother. That's Greek mythology, right? He's one of Zeus's brothers, I think, right?
I'm pretty sure that as Pluto, it would be Scorpio. That he like the Greeks would be like, Hades is Scorpio. But let's think about it more as the cartoon.
Yeah, think about the cartoon
because he's all like loud and
Disney's
Jewish.
version. Doesn't mean it's the right version, but that's Disney's version, Disney's take.
Well, his motivation, first things first. He just wants to not be lord of like the shit world. He wants to be lord of the clouds like his brother. And so he's a little bit jealous. He's fiery. I want to say Leo. He's full of envy and like flame hair.
I kind of like Leo as a...
But he's also kind of reckless. He's not like wants to be the center of attention. He just wants to be number one. So I kind of want to lean more towards Aries now.
Yeah, you nailed it. Yep.
Did I nail it?
Yeah, you walked yourself there.
Okay.
Because I was gonna be like, yes, a fire sign, but more reckless.
You were gonna take me.
Yes.
Towards it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
we were gonna go for a walk.
He's just like and I relate. So
he's impulsive, fiery, and quick to anger when things don't go his way.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And his motivation is just to be in charge and to be the best and number one on top.
And he got the shit, like Scar, he got the shit end of the stick. That's why these villains don't work today, because we literally understand them too much. And that's why they try to give us villains that we can empathize with a little bit, to be like, well, they're wounded, you know?
Yeah.
And now in retrospect, we're looking back and we're saying, you know what? Scar was wounded. Hades had his feelings hurt, you know?
He did. I mean, I get it. Yeah.
Okay, now we're at number 7, and honestly, I saw this come up on the list and I'm like, I guess he's the villain. But Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, because personally, I think of the Beast as the villain.
Right, but he's not. He like gives Belle a library and
I know he ends up being
right.
I think of the Beast. I was scared of the Beast
Gaston
as
is
a child.
terrifying though. He like comes in with a mob. Ugh.
Yeah, his hyper masculine bullshit. Yeah.
And LeFou, his gay friend, who's just like so in love with him.
His little buddy. Yeah, just like off the top of my head, what do we think of Gaston?
Well,
Gaston,
he's very charming.
He is charming.
And very bro-y.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to say I'm leaning towards like Sagittarius because he's very charming and like bro-y and has like lots of people around him in that way.
That's funny that you think when I say a bro-y as a sign, you went Sagittarius. ChatGPT saying Taurus.
And actually, Taurus is way more bro-y.
It's very bro-y. It's a very bro-y sign. I think we don't
talk all about it like, look at my chest hair, look at my arms.
Yeah.
Like physical stuff.
He looks like a bull.
Like, he does look like
his
a bull.
Physicality is bull-like if you really think about it. And I do think we don't dwell enough on that as a Taurus stereotype because you are a Taurus and you, you know, are archetype for a lot of it. But Tauruses are also known as being like kind of Patagonia people, you know what I mean? Like there's definitely earthy, like that type of earthiness to it, an earth bro kind of, you know.
Yeah, he's walking around like through the forest cutting down trees on it. He doesn't walk the path. He cuts down the trees and creates his own path. Yeah. That's really interesting, and in a weird way it makes me feel both like closer to Gaston and also like I sucked at guessing these people because every time you corrected, I was like, yeah, you're right. That actually makes a lot of sense. But it's all about like their intentions, you know?
So Gaston is stubborn, materialistic, and willing to use force to get what he wants. Brute strength.
Impossible to argue with him. Yeah.
I just always think of the fucking villagers like breaking into the castle with like the ram that they're like using to break down the door.
Yeah.
It's dramatic.
Yeah. And you know, that's like leadership. I'm honestly kind of like, I could lead a mob.
You could lead a mob. Yeah.
I don't need to, but like I could.
You could. I could see it. Yeah. Okay, and then let's see. The evil queen from Snow White is our last. That's our last villain. What do we think?
I'm imagining her black helm, and I'm separating her from Maleficent. They're not the same.
They're not the same.
She's very okay. She's about the mirror.
Mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? That's this bitch. She's the apple girl.
The apple.
The poison apple.
She's a Libra.
She's a Libra. Why? Because of the apple?
Like, look
I mean, her makeup
face.
is
I'm
on point.
the fairest of them all. I'm the fairest of them all.
Yeah. And
Apple's very like, I don't know, Venus-y. It's very like Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve, the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Even like thinking about, because a Libra will cut you out of the group if you have fucked up. And do you think that's what the evil queen is doing to Snow White? She's cutting her out of the group because she's fucked up.
I guess, yeah.
Is she mean girling?
But you know, I don't know if Libras would ever be this like unfair at someone else. She would be more like Snow White deserves this.
Yeah.
So
did
blah,
Snow
blah,
White do something that?
But yeah, she didn't actually do anything for that. She was very fair. And the fairest, I mean, I guess she's a confused Libra. I suck at guessing these. Like, because the fairest seems also like more towards Libra.
How about I give
so much about fairness.
I'll give you the description and then you go from there.
Tell me that.
The evil queen from Snow White is emotionally volatile, possessive, and willing to harm others to maintain her position of power.
Is she a Taurus too?
No, she is possessive. A Cancer.
Oh, yes. Okay. That's great.
It's all coming together now.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Including the vanity. They're like, I'm the one who deserves this. And but she's coming at it from a place of sensitivity on the inside.
And she's hurt.
And then she becomes a dragon, like this hard shell
she's
outside.
Not a dragon. You're confusing
I keep
them again.
saying, I keep mixing them up. Damn it.